Getting into a new hobby like formulating cosmetics can be pretty intimidating because there's so many different parts to it. I'm here to help you guys out. I've been doing this for over 10 years now, so I have a lot of experience, and I'm gonna let you guys know everything you need to start formulating, and all of this adds up to be under $100. I will link everything down below, and they are my Amazon affiliate links. I've always purchased all my equipment from Amazon. It's the best place I've been able to find equipment, and they have really good return policies. All my recommendations will be down below, and let me know if any of the links end up not working, because very quickly things run out of stock or the link ends up being broken. So just let me know if that happens and I'll update the link. First item is $15, and it is a digital scale, specifically a scale that weighs down to 0.01 grams. And it's so funny because anytime I see someone formulate online, they have the same exact scale. I absolutely love it. Also stick around to the end of the video and I'll give you guys some recommendations for those of you who make larger batches, or those of you who specifically want to make body scrubs, because you might want a couple different things than what I have here. The next must-have equipment is beakers. Now, what I recommend doing if you're a beginner is purchasing a kit that comes with a set of different sizes of beakers. That way you can try out all the different sizes and see which is your favorite, because I promise once you start formulating and you try all the different sized beakers, there will be certain beakers you grab for each time. So the set I link to has a 1,000 gram beaker, and personally I like using this size beaker when I make lotions that are at least 500 grams, because when you blend them, it does splash up, and this is just the perfect size beaker for lotions that are 500 grams to about 800 grams. I'd say you're pushing it. I also use this size to make like 1,000 gram face washes, toners, anything that's liquidy. The kit also comes with a 500 milliliter beaker. This is perfect for making lotions that are around no larger than 300, 400, you're pushing it. And again, it's great for liquidy products like face washes, toners up to about 500 grams. The kit will also come with a 250 milliliter glass beaker. This is my go-to size that I use while I'm experimenting, and the 250 milliliter beaker is just perfect for 100 gram batch lotions. The kit will also include a 100 milliliter glass beaker. This is perfect for weighing out like your cool down phases of your lotions, or you can use this to make a 100 gram batch of a toner or a face wash, just for a little experiments, all kinds of things. You can make like lip glosses in here, whatever you want. And then lastly, the kit I linked to also comes with a 50 milliliter glass beaker. Again, this is perfect for weighing out your cool down phase of your lotions, or just making really tiny batches of maybe lip gloss samples or lip balms, or even just like a really tiny 50 gram batch of a toner if you want, or micellar water, whatever you want to do with it. Once you guys try out all these beakers and you get an idea of like the different sizes, you'll know what sizes you want to purchase more of. All right, the next thing you need is super simple, just some gloves. You can purchase this at any supermarket. I really like the pink ones, but you are going to pay more for pink. Blue is typically the cheapest gloves, and down below I link to blue ones. Next thing is pipettes. This is something you're gonna have to continuously purchase, just like the gloves, unfortunately. I typically buy a pack of 300, and it does last me quite a bit. Also, sometimes suppliers will add in pipettes when you purchase ingredients, and that's always helpful too. Okay, I don't know exactly what to call these, but I will call them stainless steel lab spatula micro scoop set laboratory sampling spoon mixing spatula for powders, gel, cap, filler. Anyways, they're just little like utensils. Some of them are little spoons, some of them are just little scoops, some of them are like pointy. Honestly, all of these come in handy while you're formulating. Personally, I love this spoon when making face washes. It's really good for picking up the product, pouring it, looking at the consistency. This is just overall a great mixing spoon. This is always perfect for scooping up really tiny amounts of powders. And same with this side, great for that as well. Honestly, this is the perfect powder scoop when you need like a good amount of scoop. I will always grab for this when scooping out xanthan gum, and then I'll use the other end as well sometimes for all kinds of things. I was using it when making some powdered cosmetics to like pat down the powder and flatten it. Oh, this pointy end will come in handy. Let me show you. So anytime you purchase ingredients from suppliers, they will always have seals on the top, and you can just tear the seal off if you want. But what I like to do is poke a hole in the top, and then you can easily just pour out the product instead of having to use a pipette. So it does help you save money a little bit by using less pipettes, and also it just makes it so much easier to pour out a lot of your ingredients. This method doesn't work for every ingredient, but it does work for a lot of them. Now, I didn't add these to the list because it made things over $100, but I also always use these glass stirring rods, but honestly, they are not necessary at all. You can totally get away with just using the metal utensil kit. And also, those glass stirring rods, if you drop them, they break. These won't. Okay, if you're gonna be making lotions, so anything that you're heating that you need to wait until it cools to a specific temperature, you need a temperature gun. Honestly, you can get away with formulating a lot of stuff without this if you want. But if you're planning on making things that have to heat up, I recommend getting a temperature gun. That way you can make sure it's cooled down to a good temperature. But if you are just making scrubs or body butters, you can probably get away with skipping out on this. But I did add this into the $100 total, and this is about $10. So if you don't get it, you're gonna be saving $10 not getting it. Another piece of equipment I recommend if you're gonna be specifically making lotions, but not only that, an immersion blender comes in handy a lot when formulating, but lotions is where you're gonna be using it the most often. And also the immersion blender I linked to specifically comes with this attachment, which is great for making scrubs or whipped body butters, anything you have to whip up. So you're essentially getting a hand mixer and an immersion blender all in one. But if you don't plan on making lotions and you just plan on making whipped butters, like whipped soaps, whipped scrubs, then you could probably pass on this. The one I linked down below too is $18.80. But yeah, if you want to skip out on that, you can get just a hand mixer if that's what you plan on only making. And then the last thing I have on my necessary formulating equipment list is a pH meter. Now the pH meter I use is quite expensive. It's $100, and that's because it can take the pH of viscous products like lotions, but the pH meter I linked to down below is $9, and it only takes the pH of liquidy solutions. So you have to have a liquidy face wash, a liquidy toner. If you wanna take the pH of your lotion, you'll have to dilute it in water. So you'll do about, honestly, I do about 50% of my lotion and then 50% water. And that normally gets it liquidy enough. Sometimes I'll even do just like 20% water and it'll make it liquidy enough. There is controversy on this topic, but I do have a video where I do share the results between both of my pH meters. And honestly, the pH isn't too off. So if you're not making anything too high end, like alpha hydroxy acids, beta hydroxy acid products, or anything with like actives that are really pH sensitive, honestly, you're good. If you're just gonna be making basic toners and face washes, the cheap pH meter is totally fine. And then if you do want to get into formulating like more serious down the road, you can invest in the more expensive pH meter. You really do not need to go out and spend a lot of money on a pH meter if you're not going to be making really advanced products. And if you're a beginner, you shouldn't be making advanced products at first. Anyways, now for those of you who are just wanting to formulate like whipped scrubs, whipped soaps, and body butters, because I think those are the most common products people get into. Again, like I said, I would probably change out the immersion blender for a hand mixer instead. Another thing, if you only plan on making like scrubs, whipped soaps, body butters, I would skip out on the beakers and then just get yourself some nice glass mixing bowls. Preferably, I recommend getting the ones with the lids because the lids come in handy for covering them up. Or you can get stainless steel bowls. So an issue that you will come across if you're making body scrubs, body butters, things in these big mixing bowls, you're going to be weighing out larger amounts of ingredients, and these tiny scales might not work because this tiny scale only weighs up to 500 grams. So if you have to weigh out like 800 grams of an oil, you won't be able to use this scale. So what you can do is either purchase another inexpensive scale. Typically you'll see them sold as kitchen scales, and they will weigh down to probably about 1 gram. That's probably the lowest they'll pick up. And that will work totally fine for weighing out your larger amounts of ingredients. And what you can use to weigh out these ingredients are these weigh boats. And you just set the weigh boat on your scale, weigh out your ingredients, and then you can add that into your glass bowl or your stainless steel bowl. That way you avoid putting too much weight on your scale, because you don't want to put over 500 grams on these tiny scales because you can ruin them. And then same with your kitchen scales. They're not sensitive enough to pick up really tiny amounts. So when you go to weigh out your preservative, you're definitely going to want to use a more precise scale like this. And if you don't want to be wasteful, you can order these glass bowls that I always use in my YouTube videos. You've probably seen them. And you can use those to weigh out your ingredients, and that way you can just wash them and sanitize them and reuse them. They also make larger weigh boats, so if you want to place this on your kitchen scale to weigh out like a large amount of stearic acid or something, this will work perfect. One more thing, if you're going to be making whip soaps, scrubs, body butters, you're probably going to want spatulas. These work great for scraping the sides, mixing everything up. And I love these silicone spatulas. I will link down below to these ones that I buy as well. Now for those of you who maybe are making like larger batches, maybe you have your own small business, you're a bit more advanced in formulating, here's the scale I recommend. I actually have a video that talks more in depth about this scale. I've had it for years. I absolutely love it. I do believe they sent it to me for free. It's been so long I don't remember. Definitely recommend if you're gonna be making larger batches. If you run your own business and you're gonna be doing a lot of mixing, like, I don't know why I just gave an example of that. You want to get a magnetic stir. Essentially what this is you place your beaker on top. Of course, you'll have product in your beaker, and you use a magnetic bean. Place the bean in the bottom, and then when you turn this on to mix, it will literally just start mixing the magnetic bean, and it will mix the product, so you don't have to hurt your arms mixing. I had my business for, I don't know how many years, 6 years? I can't remember, 6, 8, 10, I don't know. And I literally have thoracic outlet syndrome now from all the mixing I've done and all the computer work. So if you own a business and you're gonna be doing this for a long time, you do want to invest in equipment to prevent damaging your body. You could also get an overhead stirrer that is also a mixer, so you don't have to mix things yourself. I loved using that when I made like 3,000 gram batches. It worked perfect. I don't know if a magnetic stir would be quite strong enough for a 3,000 gram batch, but I guess you can give it a try if you had a big enough magnetic bean. Also, if you're serious about formulating, I recommend getting the same exact pH meter I have. It is around $100. It works so good. I've had it for so long. I've never had issues with it. And it will take the pH of viscous solutions and thin solutions, so you don't have to worry about diluting anything. Also, a respirator. Honestly, this is really important for those of you who are going to be making whip soaps, scrubs. Oftentimes, those formulas include SCI specifically. You don't want to breathe that in. I just guarantee you guys are going to be working with some kind of powdered ingredient that you don't want to breathe in. So getting a respirator, I highly recommend. Obviously, you can wait until you reach that moment, but definitely get a respirator. Those paper masks aren't enough, so don't use those. Buy this. At least you only have to buy this once, but you do need to remember to change out the filters over time and stuff. So you do have to take care of it, and there is some upkeep. But yeah, overall, that is the main pieces of equipment I can think of. You can even make scrubs, whip soaps and stuff in these beakers, so you do not need to get the mixing bowls. These will work totally fine for body butters, whip soaps. I use these for so long, but the bowls just look better on camera, and also they are just like easier to scrape because sometimes things can get stuck in like this little crevice area. Comment down below if you have any other suggestions on things that are a must-have for beginners that I missed. And I'll see you guys in my next video later.
Also, don't forget to go over and check out my Patreon, where I post 2 exclusive videos every single month. So there is a ton of videos you can go over and binge watch for only $5 a month. Also, if you don't have access to Patreon in your country, you can sign up as a YouTube member instead. If you sign up for the $10 tier on my Patreon, you get a shout out for your small business. I'll have all these brands linked below. naturesmagicllc.com. From Dusk Soapery on Etsy, LloydCandleCompany.com, HB Royal Retreat Store on Etsy, NaturesFarmGirl.com, Let's Blend LLC, at Stardust Bath and Body, HempyGirl.com, ShopLevi's.com, Owl and Lily over on Etsy, Skin Lounge Co. over on Etsy, BlackPetalBeauty.com, EmbraceBeautyEssentials.com, LegendaryBathandBody.com, AstariApothecary.com, Reviga Cosmetics here on YouTube, exorebb.com, pardonaturals.com, naturalstateskin.com, thenatureinnus.ca, nearcatalier.com. Use the code on the screen for 20% off. earthandambernaturals.com, sharkcitynaturals.com, daytorelaxproducts.com, crownedgloweryllc.com, lhscentedsoapsandmore.com, janaerose.com, healthnutbeauty on Etsy, velvettemptations.com, journeyrosebeauty.com, chrbrands.com, Homestead Life Goods on Etsy, CanelaBathandBody.com, MadhouseMamaSoaps.com, expo.com, Mystical Morning on Etsy, 7th House and Oak on Etsy, and mycrownandglowery.com. Thank you so much for you guys' support. Without you guys over on Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, so thank you so much.